a brief state of TiE and say hello to everybody in the gallery. A special thank you, shout out goes to Mr. Mo Rock out there, who is in the park hiking, for introducing us to you too. So Mo, thank you very much for that. All right, his video is breaking up. So he's doing a jog there. We'll say hi. He's listening to us. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Mr.
Thank you, Ravi.
You're welcome, Mo. I'm going to hand the microphone over to our president. Actually, no, the TiE way of doing things. I see 25. It takes me effort to remember it. First in protocol comes Mr. Executive Director Anil Ramaneni. There you go. It's all yours, Anil. I love the background.
Thank you, Ravi. Hey, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Natalie. Actually, we have exciting one webinar this happening on Sunday morning where I would like to share. It's actually finding positivity in challenging times by Sadhguru. And TiE is actually doing this. TiE Global, and it's happening on 8 a.m. Pacific time. So please do tune into it. It's a great one. I'll share the link here.
Dr. Executive Director, when you have a chance, sir, please put the link at the bottom of that chat thing, Anil, if you don't mind, so that everybody knows about it. Okay, if you can find that.
Please.
That's going to be very interesting. Sadhguru, which Sadhguru is he?
Sadhguru from the Bangalore Ashramam.
Okay.
Jaggi Vasudevara, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so from the Isha Foundation, Sadhguru, what TiE Global has done, it has reached out to both Sri Ravi Shankar and Sadhguru, and we'll be bringing a series of webinars for Pacific Coast time about 8 o'clock. And it is open for all our regular members, our charter members, and we are also inviting our guests and general public to come and attend. So we are still working on some of the registration link. It should be up by tonight. The link is there. They are working on the back end of that so that we can capture the email IDs and things like that for marketing purposes. But Anil will be sending it out, and I'll be posting on the WhatsApp group. Having said that, welcome everyone. Our event number 25. Some of the upcoming event on Wednesday, we have 3 events coming up. The next one is on 5/13 at 2 to 3 p.m. by Neeraj Bhavani. It will be moderated by Ravi. Then we have TiE SoCal Startup Pitch on 5/20, again on Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. The one that you guys had last month on 4/29. Similar format. We are right now accepting applications or the startups, and we are in the review process. So that will be on 5/20, and then 5/27, as you said, Natalie, we have a TiE Women Initiative, and that would be one of our event on 5/27. With that, back to you, Ravi.
And Rashi will be chairing that event on the last Wednesday of the month, which is fantastic. She already has a guest coming up. We'll be posting that online shortly. So I think it'd be a very good idea after this event. Natalie, I'm going to forward your information and connect you to Rashi also. She's a fantastic entrepreneur, has a very good background in the entertainment industry, and I'm sure will benefit from the introduction. Next week, Wednesday, our event with Neeraj Bhavani is titled, I like this title too, Entrepreneurship and Company Building with VCs and Strategic Corporate Investors, right? So he runs a company called Tagnos, and he's going to talk to us about corporate partnerships and strategic partnerships, okay? So that is events coming up, which is going to be very exciting over the next few days. I just want to go around the gallery very quickly, say hi to everybody out here very shortly, and take half a minute, introduce yourself. I'm going to start with Balaji out there because he was first on deck today. Event number 25, Balaji, I'm telling you, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. In a cricket match, quarter century is pretty amazing, right? So
that's true. That's true.
You managed it.
Good. Everything is good. I'm Balaji. Most of you know me. I work as a financial advisor for individuals and small businesses.
Excellent, excellent. Where's your mojito, Balaji? You're really quiet today.
Today, no. Coffee.
Coffee. Okay, that's good. Neeta, how are you doing? You want to say hi?
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Next day. Nice to see all of you. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you.
Excellent. Mo is out in the park. I'm not sure how his audio is. Mo, you want to say hi?
Hi. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Super excited. I think that we're in for a treat today. Dr. Forrest has a very powerful vision and way of seeing life and business. So I think it's going to be fun for us to transform today.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Dhaval, you're next on my screen, man. How are
Hey,
you doing?
Ravi. How's it going?
Very good. You want to do a quick intro?
Sure. So you guys already know me. So, to reiterate, the last 24 weeks, my name is Dhaval Kapadia. I'm a fractional CFO. I help businesses with financial and business strategy. And I'm really excited about today's presentation and hearing Natalie's talk. So looking forward to it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. We have, who do we have next on the screen? Vivek, you're next on the screen, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
How are
How's
things in
everybody?
Naples, Florida?
It's great. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice day today.
Good,
My name is Vivek Kashyap, and I'm a performance enhancement and passionate, bringing more passion into your life coach. And I have a company called Encompass Effect, which helps you get in touch with your intuition to enhance your performance and purpose. I'm looking forward to the seminar because it's close to my heart, this topic. So thank you.
Dr. Pankaj Dayal. Unmuting will help. I just called you a doctor.
Thank you. Well, this is Pankaj Dayal, and I work with businesses on retirement plans, very specific area of the financial services business. Doing well, nice and warm up here in Palmdale, and looking forward to our guest speaker today.
Excellent. And I see Anisha, who joins us from Phoenix, Arizona all the time. Good to see you again, Anisha.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Glad to see you all as well. It's been way too long again.
I know, it has. It has. Hope things are good in Florida, right?
Indeed.
In Arizona, though.
I knew what you meant.
Arizona.
I mean, they're right next.
Keep in
Listen,
mind.
Florida and Arizona are right next to each other, Robbie.
No,
get it
I
mixed
know,
up too.
I know. You know, sorry, my bad. I just had a wrong this thing in my mind. Sorry about that. Things all good in Arizona, right?
Yes.
You guys are mask free?
Hmm?
You guys are mask free, wearing masks, no masks?
A combination, mainly mask free.
Cool, good. Good to see you. Hey, I don't know who's behind that picture there. Who is that Subha?
It's super.
Yeah, that is Subha.
Subha, say hello, man. Oh, you're also walking.
Hey,
Subha, how are things going, man?
Suba and I are walking together actually right now.
Oh,
We're next
nice.
to each other.
Right by the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, we're together.
No, I'm not walking today. My brother-in-law came from Bay Area, so they all family is with me today. So hey, this is Subba Gopavarapu, and I run a couple of businesses. One is real estate, one is IT app development. So good to
Excellent.
hear from Anita for the
Yeah.
session.
Excellent. So
I'm going to go mute.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Excellent. It is my pleasure and honor. Mo, thank you for doing this introduction. Over the past couple of weeks, I've got to know Dr. Natalie Forrest. She's such an impressive person. She's a CEO, bilingual, international executive strategist, corporate leadership and teamwork trainer, transformational growth mentor, and international best-selling author, and also a keynote speaker. She sent me a speech of hers that she did with WCG, I think, which was so impressive. She's going to talk to us about revolutionizing your life. She's a very well noted author. I want to welcome you, Dr. Forrest, to our show here, and the microphone is all yours.
Well, thank you. And whenever you show all this stuff, I always wonder who you're talking about. I'm really just Natalie. That's really who I am. And most importantly, I'm also a mom. So I apologize right now if you hear singing in the background. That would be my daughter practicing. Okay. But I'm very excited to be here. And I'm so grateful that, that Mo connected us. I want to talk about revolutionizing your performance, but the way I do it is really intuition, transformation, and I work a lot with the subconscious mind. So I'm not going to give you a whole presentation. I will bring up a PowerPoint, but please, whenever you have a question, interrupt as I connect the individual with the entrepreneur, with the organization, because to me, it's all connected. And I think that's why TiE is so important as well from the research I've done. It's how everything connects. We're individuals, we're entrepreneurs, we work in companies or lead companies. So it always interconnects. And that's really what I always enjoy. So I'm just gonna bring this up and I hope I can.
While you're doing that, Natalie, can you give us a little bit more about yourself, what you do? I know the introduction that I did was a little bit brief. I wanted to make sure you want to do an introduction also from a background standpoint.
Well, like I said, the most important thing is I'm a mom. I'm originally from Germany. And so there are some very Germanic characteristics in me that I embrace and the patterns that I love about me. And then there are some German ones that maybe I need to let loose a little bit. I am a trained historian. I have a PhD in history. Modern US, Russian, I studied philosophy, humanities, psychology, and I never ever wanted to be an entrepreneur. But somehow in my teaching of history, where I also trained other teachers, so I'm very passionate about education, one of my colleagues realized that I'm not just teaching history, but I'm actually teaching life skills. And so he sort of pushed me out there in the world, and I found myself trying to figure out what it means to be an entrepreneur. I had a lot of beginnings that had hard stops where I needed to figure out what does it mean and where do I find a good mentor or somebody who actually knows what they're doing. So I went through the whole process of not succeeding right away, which I think is really crucial, and learning how to do it. And in that, I realized where my strengths are when it comes to intuition, leadership, team building, as well as seeing the wholeness of everybody. And I was fortunate enough to find a good mentor a couple of years down the road that has helped me create this. And currently I'm actually reorganizing a little bit, again, because we always have to keep it fresh. This time right now, I think is such an amazingly great time. And I don't mean that sarcastically, because I know there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of loss of life, but I feel like this is the time where we call to reawaken. What are we really about? And that's what I embrace about this time. I'm also the executive director for the Women of Global Change. And that was one of the talks that you saw. I also now for 2 years have actually been the CEO of a SaaS company, which is currently in the final stages of releasing a tool, I can't say too much, a tool that is going to help business experts identify their clients better, more quickly, and actually put them on the path to growth and sustainability more quickly and on a very specific path. So that's sort of what I'm doing as well. And I love to volunteer and I love to travel. That's sort of me in a nutshell.
Very cool. Thank you for that. I spent about 4 to 6 months in Cologne, Germany, and I love Kölsch. So anyway.
Awesome. Yes, I have to admit, I'm your German who doesn't like beer.
Oh, wow.
And I will throw something else in. I am 100% your true hamburger. Okay, so I'll throw that in as well.
Cool.
it is what it is, and I'm very proud of that. My mom's
Awesome.
over there, and my brother lives actually in Spain. So, we're global. And I think what brought me to do what I do is that I believe that every individual is unique, is needed, and has a reason for being here, regardless of how much money you have or how often your picture is on the news and so forth. So I think we're all interconnected. I very much believe in the oneness of everything. And that's how it all comes together. And so when I talk to you a little bit today about this revolutionize your performance, if you keep that in the back of your minds, as well as please interrupt me at any time. This is not a talk where I just want to lecture or anything. I can stop at any point in time and just answer questions or verify or go off tangents, okay? But I do want to just start with something that I really believe in. That is in, I think, my most recent book, where I say that you have to know yourself, you have to embrace yourself, and then you can achieve your dreams. And that has to do with know thyself, or the Egyptian, as well as an Indian philosophy, of course. Know thyself first, know your strength, your weaknesses, embrace all of that, because you are unique and needed. And then from that point of self-love and self-confidence, you can actually achieve anything you put your mind to. And very important, it will prevent you from consistently comparing yourself. We live in a world where everything is about comparison and competition. Just, think about Facebook. Everybody looks, woo, so-and-so is traveling again. Oh, look over here, they made more money. Whether that's real or not is a completely different story. So that's where even the performance has to do with your subconscious mindset. What is holding you back from doing the best you can as a mom, as a dad, as a brother, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who holds a job, as somebody who directs others in a job. And it always comes down to you. Everything starts with you. So you have to know your purpose. Then you got to understand and embrace your potential. And that leads to performance. And usually that ends up then, sooner or later being your dream. And when I talk about embracing all of you, the world that we live in right now is they're always talking about black and white and good and bad. And to me, those are almost made up categories to fit us better. But if you look at yin yang, everything is everything. Black and white is always mixed. So we all have all aspects, and black and white are not colors. They are incorporations of all colors. So if you just look at this image, which I know you've seen, it means we all are everything. And if you want to use terminology like good and bad, go right ahead. I don't do that. And so when we're thinking about our lives, when we're thinking about performance, I think we always need to start with take an inventory. And, I'm a historian by trade. So if you don't know where you are, then how are you going to get where you're going? And how do you know where you're going? And that goes for life and business. It doesn't mean that you necessarily need to take your DNA, but it can simply mean this is what I started doing this morning, and look, out of the 10 things, I achieved 8. And that's awesome. So take an inventory in that sense, and actually taking it a step further, because we compare so much, and I'll come back to the comparison again and again. We compare so much that we sometimes forget that wherever we are is actually perfect and is a stage of growth. And I picked ladies in this image just because, women need to sometimes emphasize that we're women. So if you think about the life cycle stage of life, you start as a baby, you slowly but surely grew up. And in every stage of your life, there are things that you're learning. In every stage of your life, there are things that you're exploring and things that you might throw away. One of the things that happens in about this third stage that you see here on the screen is that once we start going into school or kindergarten, a lot of stuff is going to be put onto us. That's when it starts, where we compare, where somebody says, well, Lucy has an A, you have a B. Now we're setting us up for competition. And we forget that maybe me earning a B in math is actually pretty extraordinary. But because it's not an A, it's a whole different ballgame. So where we are in the physical life of our life cycle really impacts our abilities to do certain things. As an example, you mentioned I'm an author, and I'm sure we have other authors here as well. We have other speakers here. Everybody is an expert. However, if you have a younger person write a book and actually not just write a story, but maybe write about saving animals and environmental protection, how are they being accepted in that? Most of the time it's like, well, but you're a child, you can't know this. So we're looking for certificates. We're looking, where are you, and have you passed any rites of passage? Do you have your driver's license? All those things. Those are the societal rules, the norms, and they establish certain patterns. Breaking through them can be very, very difficult with time. And that's why when we're at our age, I'm just going to say our age, I know some of you are younger than me, so pardon, forgive me, but in general, there's so much stuff that we don't even know who we are anymore. So how can we perform at our best levels if we don't know who we are and we don't know why we're doing what we're doing? So when I'm talking about taking inventory, I'm really starting with saying, who are you? Who are you? And I had a conversation just yesterday with a potential client, and she was saying, I love being a student. I love being a student because when I'm a student, I just do this and I just really, and I said, okay, so you take on the role of a student, but where are you in this? Are you not already an expert in some of that? And so when we're going within, we're learning stuff about ourselves that we may not always like, which is why I started out by saying, some of my German traits I like, others I don't, but it will awaken us. It will show us so much about ourselves. And it all starts with a passion, right? Sometimes when I talk about performance or business success, you hear people say that when you do what you love, when you found your purpose, you're always this passionate, like this little girl here on the screen. And I want to believe it, but some mornings I wake up and I don't look like that, and I love what I do. But you have to have your passion in order to do, that doesn't work, what you want to do. So when you identify your passion, and it seems to me like most of you on the call, you got this down. Okay, but just think about it. You need to identify your passion, and then it goes here. It goes into your subconscious mind of what do you believe about yourself? It's not just the passion, but what do you believe about yourself? And then are you able to do that? And so normally I would guide people through something and say, okay, so what do you like to do? But I just wanted to give you this brief breakdown. When you talk with employees, clients, friends, and they're not sure about what their passion is, just ask them, when's the last time that you really smiled or laughed and felt at peace when you did something? That most likely is connected to your passion. And in all of that, I always go to the 3 R's, and this slide will come back up later again. When we're talking about taking inventory about ourselves, our business, or anything else, we need to think about the 3 R's. The first one is the relationship. The second one is respect. And the third one is recognition. Okay? So about 2-3 minutes ago, I mentioned if you had 10 tasks in the morning and you accomplished 8 of them, do you recognize yourself for what you have accomplished? Do you celebrate that or not? If you don't recognize the accomplishments that you have done, do you respect yourself? And what is your relationship with yourself? And if any of these 3 R's don't connect with you as an individual, starting with the self, what does your performance look like? And how can you lead others? So it always interconnects right there. I don't know what kind of washing machines you have, but it dawned on me just a few months ago, actually, that even my washing machine celebrates when it's done. Okay? It's like, I've heard it a long time, but when I was thinking about the 3 R's, all of a sudden, the cycle is over and that thing goes off and plays a song. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it's celebrating. There's still more work to do after the cycle is done, but you know where I'm getting at. So once you start from there, just with the 3 R's, you can get to your passion and you can get to your purpose. And then you can actually get to your potential. And for that, you need to look at what's your biggest dream? How do you get there? What are the patterns in all of that? And then the big what if is the social conditioning piece. What is preventing you from getting there? Okay? Is it that you're a woman and you're supposed to stay home? Is it that your whole family is made up of accountants and therefore you need to be an accountant? What is all of that? And even the culture that you grow up in. And then at what point in time are you ready to leap forward in pursuit of your dream? That's all sort of the preface to getting to your performance. But we have to look at all of these aspects all the time. Because when we're looking at what our performance is, we're thinking about potential. And we've heard parents say that, right? Well, I thought you could do this so much more, or I thought you'd be better at it. Now that all becomes right here in the back of our heads, that negative self-talk that we may no longer be aware of when we grow up, but it's holding us back because somebody said, oh, how sad, I thought you'd do better. And that impacts our self-image. And it is those things that then have us judge our performance and have us go back in a circle all the time. I'm not good in math. I was never good in math. The only thing I was good at in math was geometry. Well, that's not really math. So I will never be able to do math. Well, is that really it? Or is that somebody that told me that because I do math differently? So who am I comparing myself to? And am I denying the world from my potential by doing those things? And so we keep going just in that circle all the time. And that means when we're going in this circle, what or who actually has the power over you? When did you give your power away? When did you let somebody else say you can or cannot do math and just accept that as a given? And when did you accept that a B in math is bad? I'm just using math as an example. Obviously, I'm a little focused on math. I taught my daughter earlier a little bit, or whatever it may be. We're always comparing ourselves to others, even though that might not be our passion or connected in any way to our dream. And that's, of course, why we outsource. So I heard, I forget who of you it was, a CFO, for example. Yeah, I don't want to deal with finances. I really don't. I can, but I prefer not to. I don't want to deal with my taxes. I can, but I prefer not to. So I can do my taxes. It'll take me 2 weeks and I'd be miserable the whole time. But if I give it to a CPA, he's going to have it in 2 days and he's happy doing it and we're rolling. Am I really going to compare myself to him, or am I going to compare myself to a CFO who knows all the code words and everything? No. Even now, being the CEO of a SaaS company, I don't know all the coding that is involved. Our team knows that in India. I don't. But we talk about it. So they're the experts and they make it look good and we talk about it. But I would never compare my performance in coding to what they're doing. And I think that is really the key, where we have to understand our strength, our weaknesses, the opportunity and the threats about ourselves first. I don't know, as a historian again, Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of my favorite philosophers, and he has written that essay, Self-Reliance, which is of course the base for individualism in the United States. And it's often misunderstood, because he's talking about exactly this: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. He's not saying only rely on yourself forever and ever. He is saying, know who you are, rely on yourself, and know you can handle anything, including asking for help if you need to. But we're so afraid of asking for help and being vulnerable very often. So if we're looking at our own performance, we need to admit all of that. We need to say, yeah, well, there's opportunity for growth, but I still don't want to be an accountant, so I'm not going to take that class, and that's okay by me. The biggest challenge to this kind of individual approach to performance really comes from employers, right? Because the employer has to have some kind of guidelines and rules on how they're going to judge everybody's performance. Did you do this, this, and this? And especially in the world we live in, there are so many people who took a job under the assumption of performing certain tasks, and then it turns out that they're getting completely different tasks. They're unhappy. 87% of employees are disengaged, actively disengaged. So we can't be judging them correctly, obviously, at that point in time. Okay, those are things that we obviously need to understand when we're talking about performance. And so from there, we really go back to the hidden power of patterns. The question of, why do we do what we do? And that's A plus B equals C. I use this in stress management as well. It's your attitude. Here, that would mean, do I compare myself to others because I don't believe I'm worthy? Do I compare myself to others because I want to be like them? Because my mom said, what's your attitude to all of that? And the attitude also has to do with self-love and self-confidence. So what? I'm not good at cooking. I'm okay with that. A dear friend of mine can't cook for the life of herself. So what? Are you strong enough to say, I can't do it and I'm okay with that? And stop that negative comparison. The B here is the behavior. Okay? So how do you behave in this attitude? Are you going the fight or flight? Are you going to get aggressive? Are you going to get depressed? How are you dealing with all of this situation? And thereby you're obviously creating a consequence. So in employee terms, if you wake up every morning and you say, oh, I gotta go to the job, I know I'm gonna run into Joe, and Joe's gonna talk my head off, and when he talks my head off, I'm not gonna get any work done, and I don't even know why I'm going. I'm gonna be exhausted in the evening. So that's my attitude going in. What's going to be my behavior when I get there? I'm going to be just looking at Joe going, oh no, Joe, please don't. Oh my. Now Joe is going to get upset at me. Joe is going to complain to Ellie, and Ellie's going to also be upset. I've just created a really, really bad environment just by me having that attitude. Now, what if I were to change my attitude? What if I were to say, I may not like my job, I may not like Joe, but Joe got issues. So if I just listen to Joe for 10 minutes, he might go away and I might get my work done. And if I got my work done, after that, I can go home and work in my garden. Yes, let's go and get this done. Now, the behavior at work shows that, and the consequence that you have created is a much better work environment. Key is that we need to do that also with ourselves. So if I have a good relationship with myself, if I honor myself, if I know myself, I accept my strengths, my weaknesses, the opportunities, and everything else. and I know that I can withstand anything. And I give myself the respect to not put myself down, to not give away my power, to engage in self-care. And I recognize all the achievements that I have made my way. Then the next day when I wake up, I'll go through the same process. So this transfers towards employees. If a leader, a team leader, knows every member of the team and allows every member of the team to talk with one another and get to know each other, then they have a relationship. And especially right now with the challenges of remote work, which we've never had, this is so crucial to know what are the employees going through. And are we respecting them enough to listen to their ideas, to not assign them a job that we know they loathe? And then if there's a job well done, how do we recognize our employees? Do we give them a certificate and parade them in front of everybody? Or do we know and respect each individual team member, that we recognize each individual team member in a way that matters to them? Because one of them might not like being paraded in front of everybody. They might actually prefer to have a gift card to an ice cream store for their kids. And then they know, wow, you know, I have kids. You know that I love to buy them ice cream. Yeah, I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to give my best again. That's how you increase the performance of your employees as well. And it has to do the same way with your business. And I'm not going to go into this slide at all. But when you're looking at all of this, we have to understand that the performance starts here with you. And then once it starts with you, you can help anybody in your realm, whether it's your employees, your team members. You can become the team leader just by example. You will be able to supersede any expectations by simultaneously being vulnerable, if that makes any sense. And that's really the only way in which we can accomplish what we're trying to accomplish when we're talking about performance. Instead of judging it the way that everybody does, judge it from within and stop comparing yourself to others who may have had a very different experience or a very different educational background. That's why I believe this is revolutionary. And that's where I believe that companies, big organizations, have really fallen behind. And that's where they're losing a lot of their employees in the connection between the mission and the vision and knowing their individual employees. And the same, of course, goes for associations and people who volunteer their time as executive directors, as presidents, as chapter leads, and so forth. Does that make sense? I know I ran through a lot, but does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions I can answer?
I think that was really, really awesome. Thank you so much. That was very, very insightful. We were absolutely gripped to your presentation. I personally was. I know I was looking at the gallery at some people and they were absolutely focused and immersed in your presentation. What a simple thought, but what a powerful presentation. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I would love to answer any questions. Yeah. I know that I bombarded everybody with a lot of information by putting it on, changing my light a little bit up, by bombarding everybody with a lot of pieces here.
It was very, very good. Go ahead, guys. This is a small, yeah. So anybody have any questions? Any
Yeah, sure.
thoughts? Mo with his, Mo has the big old microphone that keeps getting bigger and bigger every day. I'm telling you, he's getting
Yeah.
a louder voice, which is awesome, right? So Mo, go ahead, man.
Yes, thank you very much. They say something about men that drive big cars, but thankfully that's not true for microphones. I haven't heard anything about that yet. So, first of all, I want to say, Dr. Forrest, I wasn't expecting you to mention my favorite essay of all time, which happens to be Self-Reliance by Emerson. I think that essay, in fact, I haven't read it for a couple of years, but at one point in time I would read it and reread it and really try to instill it. And there's a lot of powerful things in it. And it's really a very powerful piece of literature. I think, especially in today's market where things are moving at a Mach 10 speed, self-reliance is a prerequisite for anyone that wants to even attempt to survive in this marketplace. But what I wanted to ask you to do was to take a little bit of time and delve a little further in something that you made, because I think it's relevant to this community. And by the way, a lot of people are going to watch this on a replay, and there's going to be lots of people watching this once it's uploaded on Facebook and YouTube. A lot of people in this particular community, Natalie, I would say over 50% are involved in the tech space. And there's a lot of IT people, a lot of programmers, a lot of investors in that world. What I found, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs in IT or programming, et cetera, is they never had to really build a skill set in sales. They never had to go in the front lines, because their entire career they've been making deals where, that aggressive personality of going out and making a sale has not really had to be part of the recipe for success. But in today's market, things are changing. So for those people that have never made that a point of emphasis, what can you say to help them transform? And because you were talking about programming and limitations, so how do you really speak to those people? Because there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this that need to develop those kind of skill sets, and they could be years into their career. And suddenly they're faced in a new marketplace with new challenges, and they need to learn that particular skill set. So what can you do to help those individuals with the sales process, seeing that they've never had to do that before, but now they need to?
Well, love that question. And I think you may recall one of the conversations you and I had, that I used to say that I don't like sales, and I actually used a much stronger word there, how I feel about sales. So I actually had to go through that process. And I'm not coming from an IT background, I'm coming from a teacher background, where we give everything away for free. And then all of a sudden you have to say, well, actually, I need some money here, can you pay for this? So really, once you understand, you have to get into your hidden patterns of what is it about sales that makes you feel so uncomfortable. What is your experience? Are you thinking about that salesperson that tries to sell you an old Honda or whatever at the car shop? Is that your idea of sales? That's number one. Where does this idea come from that sales is bad? And very often it's connected to ideas of money, okay? How we view money. Then the next step is to say, well, you're really selling all the time. The minute that you walk out of the house, the way you dress, the way that everybody right now is dressed, the microphone you have, the book that you have, the minute that you go outside, you are partially selling yourself. Okay, that's what we do just by appearing anywhere. And so then I think for me, the key point was, if I don't sell my materials, what am I denying the world? If I don't sell my skill, what am I denying or not allowing others to learn, see, or become? And that was sort of my step towards it, my 3 steps basically towards it, where now I realize, no, the more of my products that I can actually sell, give away, the more information I can share, the more people will benefit and grow, businesses will grow, and then everybody in this humanity, which I consider to be one, benefits. If I take all of that away, we're missing a piece. So I don't know if that was sort of the answer that you were wondering about, Mo, but that's where I would go with it. And honestly, there are still times today when I'm thinking, well, do I really make a sales pitch or not? But nowadays, if I give a consultation or if I send something out to a company, you know, I will let them make the next move. I'm not pursuing them. I've given them the information, you know, content, education, all of that. Now it's your choice. We either resonate or not. So I think it's also not feeling the need to always sell everybody, but knowing who you need to reach.
So what I heard there, Natalie, was, you know, in NLP, we have something called a reframe. Mm-hmm. So reframe into turning it into a moral obligation that by selling a product or service, you're actually doing something that is morally and ethically appropriate. So if you don't sell, you're actually doing something that, you know, and I know you started this presentation by saying you don't use the word right or wrong, but I use those words, right? So if you don't sell something, you're doing something wrong, correct?
Yes, as long as it's all in integrity with you, right?
Yeah.
So don't ever sell stuff that is not in integrity. But yes, absolutely. It's the changing up your patterns. Once you've identified it, you see, do I like it? Do I not like it? And then you change it. Whether, you know, NLP, it's the transformation and the reforming. I think in hypnotherapy, there's another term. So we're always talking about similar things, but first you need to identify that, and then you can work your way out of it, around it, through modification. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? That's a very nice question. Thank you for that question, Mo. And thanks for those insights. That's really interesting. Any other questions? Anybody has questions? So while they're thinking it up, I have a question. So you do this consulting. It's in a form of consulting, is it? Tell us a little bit about your company also.
Well, my company is really just called Natalie Force International. And when I started out, I was mostly spiritual, which scared a lot of people. I realized that my gifts, as I mentioned before, are really the integration of the individual with the business, that your business cannot flourish if you want to be in business, and not everybody needs to, unless you know your purpose and your personal life is in order, because they go hand in hand. So I work on the personal side with individuals and entrepreneurs into those life skills. What I have begun to do based on my experience when I was still in college and afterwards, I've really begun to seek out more companies and organizations to help with the leadership and the team building, the things that I mentioned, you know, really get to know the people that you work with. Don't forget the transformation or the transition between the CEO who doesn't know anybody who's working in the office. So that's really where right now I think my focus is, on helping the leadership understand the best way to move forward in engaging and keeping their workforce, instead of the workforce having to go to the doctors all the time, staying home, being depressed, quitting, retraining, and all of that. Because it always comes down to each individual and the leadership of self.
Right, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy
There is a question from Pankaj Dayal. So Pankaj, go ahead and ask your question, please.
Natalie, my challenge has always been, I feel very motivated, early in the morning, but by the time lunchtime rolls around, I just want to go crawl somewhere. How do you keep that? How do you keep the momentum going?
That's a great question, especially because I'm not a morning person. So it's like, catch me at night and I can go all night. I think the way that you stay motivated is by keeping an eye on your purpose. Why am I doing this? And it doesn't have to be the focus of business in that sense. It's the deeper why. Why am I working 12 hours a day writing a new program, right? Yeah, I do get tired in between. Absolutely, Panja, absolutely. However, then, I walk around, I might get myself a tea or a cookie or whatever, and then I look around and it comes back to me. I usually hold my hands in front of my heart and say, okay, why am I doing this? And when I take that 5-minute break or something, what comes back to me is my daughter, it's my mom, it's the vision that I have for humanity. And that for me usually only takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And sometimes it takes a half an hour of meditation or taking a walk. But I think when you get to that point where you're lacking the motivation, that is the point where you need to respect yourself enough to walk away for a little bit, to walk away and not feel guilty about it because you need to rejuvenate and refresh. So walk away from what you're doing for 10 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour, maybe don't come back until tomorrow. So your whole system has the ability to reconnect with that purpose. That's how I do it. And yes, there are times when I'm tired too. When I work until 1 a.m. and I got to get back up at 6 because my daughter needs to go to work, go to school or something. But, in between, I'm very connected with myself and my purpose. And then I look for signs, I'm like, I'm really tired right now. Should I continue? Should I just give up? And if I have that thought process, I go within and then all of a sudden I get a text message from a friend. How are you doing today? And I think the last piece of thought that comes to my mind is, if you feel that way, you reach out to a friend and say, hey, I'm really lacking motivation right now. Can I chat with you for a moment? I think that's all of those things are really crucial to continuously stay motivated.
Yeah, Natalie, I agree with you more than 500%. I have gone through that process, and till the time I was not able to find my purpose, my days were going by, and doing whatnot. Anil knows me better from that perspective, But I spoke with a psychologist, and I took 3 sessions with him, and he was able to help me in finding my purpose. And from that day on till, it was 2.5 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, I am laser focused on my goal. Just by talking to someone, how they can switch, in your brain. And I have experienced it. So, Pankaj, anytime if you want to discuss with me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I used to work at Hyundai for a long time. I was one of their leaders there. And in Korea, there is a very simple saying: find simple wins to stay ahead. Right? Everything is a win, and find those wins, and that'll help you focus and go forward. Right? So yeah, I think focus, and very nice insights. Thank you very much. Somebody asked me, this is not we don't have to have this, but is there any way to get some of your, I know this is proprietary material, but if we needed to, would you share the presentation by any chance?
No, yeah, of course. Okay.
I have a question. Like Mo said earlier, there are people watching on Facebook and recording and views, right? I want to ask for other people a question. The current situation, 36 million people got laid off, right? And it's getting bad everywhere. It's just that there is also saying whatever the jobs are lost, the older people will not be getting those jobs, right? What recommendation or suggestions would you give to them so it would help them?
I think that is probably one of the toughest questions to try and answer right now. And I've thought about that, not just for the older people, but also for those who think they can come back, but they don't really like technology, and we're going more into AI and technology. So I think the only answer that I currently have is try and figure out what else you can do. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but very often people tend to put the blinders on and only see themselves through their jobs. We've been trained that way. And when we lose the job, we forget who we are. And that's because, again, you know, we've been socialized that way. We're in a role of the job, but the job is not us. So in that sense, and actually with one of the chapters, we're offering some of those services from Women of Global Change. We're saying, okay, what else can you do? What do you like to do? Do you like to cook? Would you like to, instead of going to work in the factory, even though you've been there for 50 years and it breaks my heart that you might not go back, where else could you feel needed? Could you go to a veterans hospital and read to them? Could you, whatever you might be able to find as another way to live a purposeful life that means something to you, of course, okay? And I don't think that's a great answer, but that's honestly the only one I have right now, because whenever we go through awakening periods like this, whether it is because of a pandemic, whether it is because of an industrial revolution or the scientific revolution, everything changes and everybody feels lost. And when we feel lost, we have to go back within and say, okay, put the brakes on. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And that's why I call this a reawakening, where we get to see what our values are. That's
Ravi, with your permission, would like to add something to that.
Absolutely. You're the producer, man. Absolutely.
Natalie, you know, I run an executive search firm. So just my 2 cents on that is that, you know, the day people understand that they can do any job, finding a job becomes so much more easier. And I will give you a high level example of that. When a large company gets sold, the CEO of that company goes and becomes senior vice president. But for smaller jobs, you live the title. The day you are outside of that title, finding another job becomes very, very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very nice insights. That's very good insights. Absolutely. I think I think going back into Natalie's presentation, it's that thing, find your passion, right? Find your passion, find what you're respected for, the 3 R's. I think putting it in the gist of Natalie's presentation, it is unfortunate actually that people who actually, there is research in this that shows that after retirement, men after retirement from a big organization, their health deteriorates. Blood pressure, diabetes, everything increases the day they retire, right? And everything goes downhill after that for a lot of people. And if they can find their passion, I know a very close mentor, a friend of mine who is a partner in Traction Labs, ex-senior vice president at Hyundai, retired, found his passion in carpentry. Mm-hmm. And he does all these things in carpentry, and he knows he's good. Something that he didn't want to, you know, he just forgot about, and now he's obsessed with carpentry, right? And he's very good at it. And you talk to him and he'll talk about carpentry a lot. So I think find that passion, going back into your presentation, to revolutionize yourself and your performance, whatever the age is. I think it is that. And so thank you. That was very, very cool insights. Thank you all for good questions. Anybody else have questions? Otherwise, Natalie, do me a favor. If you have that chat button in front of you, if you don't mind giving your email address instead of me typing it out, just type that out if people need to get in touch with you. There are people who run organizations out here, we'd love to promote you also. So we'd love to get you back on this show. You're welcome any day. We have this every day. We enjoy the talk. We enjoy having you over, and we'd love to stay connected. And we look forward to having you over in one of our keynote speeches, also keynote talks, also, which is also very nice. Thank you so much for your insights. I truly appreciate it. Mo, thank you for the recommendation. Star, absolutely incredible presentation. Everybody, thank you for joining. It was fantastic seeing you all. I know I ran 4 minutes over. Tomorrow, just a last notice, tomorrow we are going to take a day off. The producers and I are going to have a talk. There you go. see, he doesn't, yeah, anyway. So we're going to take a day off, right? So
well deserved.
Friday, so we are going to take a day off, and we're going to be back on Monday. We actually
real quick, I want to just thank Ravi, because nobody thanks Ravi, so it's become my tradition. Thank you, Ravi, for doing all the work, hosting this and communicating with the guest speaker and organizing it. And I'm so shocked you haven't gotten fired by the producers yet.
Oh, hey, I was very close.
They are tough. They are tough.
Hold on. Ravi is so meticulous about this job.
I know. He's fantastic.
More seriously than for the jobs that he gets paid.
Absolutely, I know. Yeah. You heard it here, everybody. Don't pay Ravi if you want something. Okay.
Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I need some help with my business, Ravi, but I'm not gonna pay you. If you have a problem, talk to Anshuman.
If it is the path to know people like Natalie, you, Anshuman, and my producers, and everybody here. I mean, think about it. I get to know, I've made such good friends who join us on a regular basis. So that's payment more than anything else for me, And then I cook for my wife. Heck, that's all that matters.
We pay to the soul, not in monetary terms, So
yeah. And Sadhguru is going to talk more about this.
Thank you, guys. See you Monday. Okay, have a great weekend. Take care. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.